everybody, again, it's the Cranky Ranking Show with me, host Toz, and as usual, from across the water, it's Fly. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing good. How's everybody doing?
Yeah, we're doing great over here. Finally getting close to the greatest release date of Guitar Hero for me. Getting so excited, everything else is non-existent to me at the minute. But yeah, on today's shows, listeners, we've got, I think we're going to do 3 reviews today. We're going to have Assassin's Creed, Blue Dragon, one of the games that's been out a while, and Seen It, the new quiz game. So I think we're going to kick off today's show with you, Fly, and the great talked about game Assassin's Creed. So let's get on, mate. And what do you think of the much talked about Assassin's Creed?
Assassin's Creed. I've been thinking a lot about how I want to say this and what I want to say about it, because I really don't want to sound like I'm bashing the game, because it is a good game, and I know a lot of people were looking forward to it. And did it release now for you guys, or is it just coming up?
I think it is released. It might have been last week, or it might even be this week. But yeah, I think it's there or thereabouts.
It's already out. Okay, well, I got mine last week, and I played it for a whole week, and I'm done now. Trying to think how to word this right. I like the game. I like bits and pieces of the game. I like the graphics. I think look amazing. I think the whole idea is really good, as far as the missions and the style of the game, being a stealth assassin. I'm kind of big into stealth games anyway, so it is cool to sneak around as an assassin and assassinate people. And the problem comes, and a lot of people probably saw the demo at E3, where they had some issues with the game, and they seem to have fixed most of them issues.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all know, don't we? I mean, there's no hiding the fact that we've never seen such a big profile game get such an absolute massive different opinions from all reviewers. I don't think I've ever seen such different opinions from one single game. Just quickly, the one that stands out to me, I got a quote the other day from it, that they did some analysis on the scores that websites, magazines and sites have given, and the game was ranging from 6.2 to 10. I mean, that to me just sums it all up entirely. I mean, and obviously you're going to carry on and tell us a bit more, but it certainly is it's a weird one at the minute. But
yeah, I think I looked on Metacritic yesterday or something like that, and the average score was 8.8. But like you said, it wildly varied between somewhere in the 6s all the way up to a perfect 10.
Which is it's strange, isn't it? It's so wide of the mark.
And I try not to get too hung up on, some people get mad when games get a 10 or things like that. I think if it's a great game, then give it a 10. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Me personally, this is not even close to one of them games. And really it comes down to, like I said, they had the problems at E3, and they seem to have fixed most of them. I didn't see the type of stuff you saw at E3 where like he was running into people in the street, but they were like 5 feet away. They seem to have fixed most of that.
That was the big issue, wasn't it? And I think what that did instantly, it killed any thoughts of a demo, because everybody thought they was going to pull a demo out on the Xbox Live. And I think the E3 shocked a lot of people in the industry. There was months away from releasing the game, and they showed that. And you say you didn't see it.
No, I didn't see that.
I did see it, and it shocked a lot of people. That it really did. Just they shown the video, it came on, and there was knocking into people like 5-10 yards away. Very strange to me that the game has received such. It got massive reviews, and everybody was. The game has received probably one of the biggest talkabouts and since Halo. Everybody was doing it. The E3 knocked it back. And it's just a mishmash of a crazy game that I'm just disappointed. I mean, you're going to talk about what the problems are, and I know what the problems are, but it just seems to me, for the whole hype of the game and how long it's taken and how much they've been spouting about it's the only thing I can say. It's disappointing how it's come out finally.
Yeah, I didn't. I think the E3 demo probably hurt them a little bit. They didn't look to be ready, and it kind of created a little bit of a stir that personally I don't think the game really deserved at the time. There were so many great looking games at E3 and at the Tokyo Game Show and things like that that I don't really understand how Assassin's Creed made the list as far as things they wanted to show, especially in the state that it was in.
Yeah.
Um,
Who makes these
and
who makes these decisions?
yeah, and they definitely, and rather than doing an actual game demo, they could have done some pre-rendered something
Yeah.
and made it look different.
Yeah. There's no question it looks fantastic. I think everybody can agree with that. Like you've just mentioned, Eddie, the graphics are fantastic. It looks phenomenal. So my question to you then is, what is the big problem?
Biggest problem with this game are the controls. It is by far the most frustrating game that I've ever played. I spent more time yelling at the TV, and I'm not one to get too worked up, and I don't break controllers or throw things or like you hear stories about.
Yeah,
But this game
you was
made me
close.
want to break something. I mean, it was so frustrating. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, than getting killed or dying in a game because the guy wouldn't do what you wanted him to do.
Is it really that bad then? What is the actual specific problems that you come across then?
It's it's weird. I mean, for one thing, they have a really complicated control scheme, which is something that maybe you can get used to over time,
Yeah.
but it just doesn't work the way you tell him to run one way, and he ends up running into something and getting hung up on a door or trying to climb a wall or something weird like that you did not want him to do. Trying to run away from these guys and he gets stuck on a wall or something. It's just so frustrating.
And is there only that one perspective to use then? There's no choice of perspectives.
Yeah, for the most part, when you're moving around, it's all third person, which really isn't bad. I mean, I like the third person view. I liked, and like I said, everything about this game I liked. I liked the idea, the story. We can talk about a little more. I could give or take some parts of the story, but the whole idea, everything except for the fighting controls in it. You have to hold one button and click another one, but it's a lot of clicking the same button, and it's just so annoying.
Is it mainly because then? Would you say is it because the controls are complicated that is the problem, or would you say the controls simply don't work properly?
In the beginning, it's probably because they're a little complicated. They are hard to pick up, but I think the game does a decent job of kind of easing you into it. As you progress, you get new abilities and learn new things, and they kind of slowly move that in, especially with the fighting sequences and stuff. So that part I could get over a little bit. I don't mind the complicated control scheme as long as I can learn it, but it just doesn't work. They just don't work in this game. Specifically, like I was saying, you get in these fights with say what looks like 100 guards. And
Yeah.
part of the gameplay is that you have to run away and hide from them. And just the running away part is so annoying and frustrating because he gets stuck on walls and he gets stuck on, doorways and carts, and he jumps over stuff when you didn't want him to, or he climbs up on a ledge and then he won't get off, and you're hitting it's the B button to drop, and you're hitting the button to get him to go, and he jumps to somewhere else, and you're
And
like, that is not what I wanted you to do.
just from a gaming point of view, then when you're running away, obviously that's a big part of the gameplay. And what happens if you're actually caught? Then are you then killed? Is it the end of the chase? Is that the way that is the gameplay like that?
No, you end up running away. Like I said, it's kind of a stealth game. So
Yep.
let's say your mission is to assassinate one guy, and you get spotted or whatever. It turns yellow and says that you're red. I'm sorry, it turns red to tell you that you're spotted. They're onto you and they're coming after you.
Like
You run
a
away.
like a Metal Gear Solid used to do when it used to
Yeah.
beep and say you'd been spotted, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
like that, except for, and this is where it gets a little annoying for me, rather than like Metal Gear Solid where you just have to run away and hide somewhere,
Yeah.
this game you have to run far enough that the indicator turns yellow, meaning that they can't really see you, but they're still looking for you.
Yeah.
But you can't just stay hidden there. You have to actually find a specific hide point, which might be like there's these carts of hay around. You have to jump in there, or these little huts that you can hide in. But you have to hide in those specific spots until then the indicator turns green and says, okay, they've given up looking for you. You can come back out.
And what happens if they catch you?
Then you get in a fight, and you either have to fight them or try and run away again.
And is that detrimental to the gameplay then? Are you rewarded for getting away, or are you rewarded for fighting, or does it not matter?
In most cases it doesn't matter. It ends up being, the first few times it's okay because it's, I don't want to say easy to get away, but you put a little effort into getting away, you hide, and you feel kind of good, like I sneaked past these guys, they didn't know I got away from them. Towards the end, it gets harder and harder to get away because there's more and more guards looking for you.
So my question is then, regarding that gameplay, you say the controls was bad. From a point of view, being devil's advocate, then what's to stop you just say you're frustrated with the controls of running? What's to stop you turning around and saying, well, bugger this, I'll stand and fight them all the time? Is there any reason that would stop you doing that?
Well, there's just a never-ending supply of guards.
Oh, right. So you actually, the part of the game is, you would say you have to get away, or at least try.
Yeah, a good part of the game is being stealth. Hopefully you don't get spotted in the first place, but that's kind of annoying too. He has kind of 3 different speeds that he can walk. One, you can put him into this cover mode where he acts like he's bowing his head and praying, and he walks extremely slow.
That's the hide mode, isn't it?
Yeah, and when you're in that, they don't really pay a whole lot of attention to you. The next step up from that is just to walk like normal, like everybody else.
Yeah.
But that tends to draw a lot of attention. And then the third, and I guess the fourth, is you can run and then you can sprint while you're running and go even faster. But that seems to really bother these guards. If you go running by, you'll actually hear him say, "Why is that guy doing that? Who's he running away from?" And it makes him suspicious. So you can't just run around town. You actually have to walk slow. You have to watch where you're going. And if you are running, it's real easy to run into people, and then that draws attention too if you're knocking people down.
You just going back to you're saying there are 3 different speeds. I mean, obviously people have heard, or they should have by now, about the game was also touted to have serious AI problems and clipping graphic problems. Did you come across any of them?
I had a few issues with the graphics. At one point, and this is kind of funny, but at one point I was, because part of the game too is not only, it's not all on the ground. You can climb buildings, you can get on rooftops.
Yeah.
You can go up to high points, which is really kind of neat. I was climbing a wall, and somehow I glitched through the wall into kind of that nowhere void area.
Yeah,
and fell down and died. But what's funny is when I fell down and died, I got an achievement. And the achievement said something to the effect of that I killed 100 people without dying myself, which obviously wasn't even close to true.
So that is a really, really bad issue with the game then.
That was weird, but that only happened once. Only once did I have that type of problem.
Yeah,
I mean, it might have just been a weird spot or something.
The reason I brought that up, I have seen videos on game trailers about it where, when they actually do the review, when they talk about the graphical issues, they show you a clip as they're talking about it, and the clip that they showed was the guy. He's actually disappeared into a wall of a castle with just his arms sticking out, strangling a guy, and that to me, in today's day and age, with this kind of technology and the time this game's had, I find it really, really poor that they can have such bad issues with that. Moving on to the second issue I brought up, the AI, the next one was in conjunction with your stance and walks talk, where the next clip they showed the AI, they said the AI can be really, really poor to such an extent. They then show a clip where he kills one of the guards, he drops to the floor, he then presses hide, but he is stood on top of the guy he's just killed, waits a few seconds, the second guard arrives, The guard drops to his knees, picks his friend up, and then pretends to say, "Where is the person that did this dreaded deed?" Well, he stood outside of you, and that just looked really, really stupid. And again, for a game, you'd expect something like that from a game like, say, 5, 10 years ago, in both issues. I mean,
right.
it's poor. I mean, you've got to, don't you agree that, I mean, in this day and age, none of that should be happening?
Yeah, now that you mention both of those, I did see both of those issues. The one especially with the guards, they don't seem to be smart until you're alerted, until they're chasing you. Then they get real good as far as catching you, but they do some unrealistic stuff where I might have to climb a building and try and run away. You'll see guys just jumping from one building to another.
Oh, right.
And I'm supposed to be the assassin with these special skills.
And you couldn't do that if you wanted to, is that what you mean?
Right. Either I couldn't, or at least they're doing the same type of stuff that I am.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, you get just a little bit ahead of them and hide, and they'll come running up behind you, and then you hear them say, "Wow, we can't find them. I give up." And then they go away. And you can jump out immediately and just go on your way.
Yeah, I mean, regarding these bad issues that obviously have got to be talked about because they are really, really bad, and yet Ubisoft would have you believe that all this time they've spent on the game, that the AI and the games, you know, everything about the game should be spot on as they've spent years developing it.
Yeah,
it just beggars belief that... Do you see this then, would you call it as where they may have rushed it? Was it one of these games that was penciled in for a November release date, and it's one of these where my real big adage that drives me spare, do you think the game testers have knocked on the door and said, "Look, we have these serious issues," and then they've said, "Well, I'm sorry, it's due for release and it's going out"? Do you think we might have a bit of that scenario?
I don't know if it's that, although that kind of makes sense that it wasn't ready at E3, that maybe it's not ready now.
Yeah.
That it still needed some more polish to it, or if it's more of a sense that they tried to do more than they were capable of.
But you know,
because the ideas they had were solid, I really liked them, but it just didn't fit the way I think they wanted them to.
But do you know what? Do you know what's strange about that? I could understand that kind of scenario of them worried and saying, "Look, we need to get this game out," if the games were thin on the ground. But as we all know, this November, December, Christmas period has been the biggest, busiest on history of gaming. So if Ubisoft have got these problems with this great title they've spent so much time and money in, it just would make perfect sense to me to say, okay, let's delay it until first quarter 2008, and let's get this AI sorted, let's get this clipping sorted. You know, it would have made it doesn't make sense to me. But I mean, going back to the game then, I mean, one question I think I like to always ask: what about actual game time? How long has it taken you to finish?
It took a while, and it's hard to say how much of that was because I was frustrated at the controls and wanted to stop, or how much time I wasted screwing around with that type of deal. But I would say I put 20 hours, maybe even more, into it. But that's kind of a back and forth issue too, because every mission is virtually identical. It follows the same pattern, it's the same type of thing, and it gets very repetitive.
That was the next question I was going to bring up. That's the next contentious issue that's flying around the net, that it is very, very similar and can get very, very boring. Is there no side quest then, or anything like that, kind of RPG type?
There's a few things. I mean, the basic way it works is you're given a mission to go, obviously, assassinate someone. You go to the city where they are, and before you can assassinate them, you have to come up with kind of a plan, so you have to learn a few things about them. There's 6 different bits of information, and you have to get at least 3 before you can continue with your assassination. Right. And you get those by, maybe there's 2 people talking, you can eavesdrop on them and get some information. You can pickpocket people, you can interrogate people, all these various things that you can do, but you only have to do 3. Once you get your 3, you go to the Assassin's Bureau, tell your plan, and then you're given permission to go kill the guy.
Is it easy to find these people that you're supposed to assassinate then? It's not one of these scenarios where you can be walking around for hours on end.
Well, in the beginning, and this is something that I do actually think the game does a nice job of, in the beginning, they show you kind of where to go, what you need to do.
Right.
As the game progresses, it gets a little harder, and you have to start to figure it out yourself. And one of the ways they do that, and this is one of the things I actually liked about the game, it's each various part of the city has these high points, or maybe it's the top of a tower or the top of a church or something like that, and you climb up there, and you can synchronize your map, and basically what you can see from that point then shows up on your map. So towards the end of the game, when they're not showing you as much, you have to find this point yourself, which isn't hard. It's the highest, the higher points of the city.
Yeah.
Find a way up there, synchronize your map, and then it shows you, hey, here's a guy you can pickpocket, here's a guy you can interrogate, and then you can choose which one of those you want to do. Like I said, there's 6. You only really need 3 to be able to continue.
There's no order then? There's no specific order of these assassins, or is there one big boss at the end?
There's an order, and there is one big boss at the end, but you can kind of do it however you want as far as how you go about getting to that guy. But you are given, you basically, your assassin boss, I don't know what you call him, the head assassin, is the guy who tells you, he says, okay, listen, I need you to go kill these 3 guys. You ride your horse out of the city, and then it asks you, okay, what city do you want to go to? And you can choose 3 cities.
Well, that was going to be my. I've got 2 more questions to start wrapping this up. One of the questions that's been talked about in the beginning. You can travel on the horse through what's been talked about, sheer fantastic scenery and cities. Yeah, and then the next issue that was brought up, they then take that away from you because you get some sort of quick warp system. How does that work? And do you think they could have left it, or what?
I actually was happy to see that happen.
Because there was big traveling, is it?
Yeah, there's just no point to it. There's no, to get from, well, I shouldn't say there's no point, because back to what you asked about side missions and that, there are a whole bunch of collection type things in the form of these flags. Right. Each city has its flag, and I think there's like 100 for each of them, and there might be like 5 or 6 sets of 100 flags. And they're just hidden around variously, similar to like Crackdown.
Yeah, just added there for extra content, you would say then.
Right, but they're not fun to find. They're not, they don't make the cool Crackdown noise and stuff. But so you could spend some time looking around for them, but they're in no way essential to the game, and you can finish them without doing them. When you first start, you have to ride through that kingdom, and then go down the right road to get to the right city. Yeah. And it's just extremely tedious. And just like walking or whatever, if you ride the horse, so there's this whole area where there's nothing to do unless you wanted to collect these flags, which I didn't, where I had to ride this horse through. So I was glad when it got to a certain point where it let you go. But you can still choose to go through the kingdom part
if you want. Yeah, I heard that. I mean, 2 more points then. I mean, one of the points is, without giving too many spoilers away, we've all heard, if people want to fast forward a couple of minutes, there might be a spoiler in the game here. We've heard there's a futuristic twist that came out. What's that handled like?
Yeah, most people have probably seen it. It was all over the net, exceptionally a few months ago, where the voice actress that plays one of the characters in the game kind of spoiled it. But if you get the game, it happens in the first 5 seconds, so it's not that huge a spoiler. But it isn't. I would have preferred that the whole game was set in this,
the
longer
past.
time period.
I mean, to be honest, who's been following the game for months, me for one, I didn't know anything about that until basically 3 days ago. So really? the secret was kept well from, I should say, quite a few people. But you say it could have quite easily just been skipped altogether.
Yeah, that portion of the story, in my opinion, is completely ridiculous. Basically, you're held hostage in some company, and they're forcing you to go back in your memories of your ancestors. They're convinced that your ancestors' memories are stored in you, and they have some machine that lets you go back and relive them.
I mean,
they're searching for something, so that's why you're doing that.
One of the rumours that's been abandoned as well, that they say that it's pretty open-ended. Again, without giving anything away, it's pretty open-ended. Looking for Assassin's Creed 2. Do you think that could be?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Well,
won't say anything about the ending, but there's
right.
no doubt
Well,
that there's room for a sequel to come.
all we can say then, let's hope that if they do a sequel, they make it a little bit better. I mean, just to finish with then, two final questions I keep saying, but these are final. Achievements, what are the achievements like? Are they easy?
A lot of them are listed as secret, which of course you can just go on online and find them out.
Yeah.
I personally liked the way the achievements went. I played the game through. I didn't do the collection missions with the flags and things like that. So I just played the game, and with the exception of that one that I got as part of a
By
glitch,
default.
yeah, they just kind of happened as you played the game, and I ended up somewhere around 400 points just for playing the game through.
Right.
Including you get 100 points for finishing it, which I didn't know until I was done. I
Right.
didn't look ahead, but I actually liked. I thought they were good.
Okay, then just one question we've never asked about the game. There's any online mode at all?
No, it's
None
straight,
whatsoever.
straight single player.
Right then. Well, to finish with them, Fly, I mean, without giving a score away, what's your final
I do
thoughts?
want to go back and say that I know most of what we've talked about here has been the problems with the game and the controls. I cannot stress enough how frustrating they are and how they really take away from what could have been, I think, a spectacular game, in my opinion. They do a lot of things right. There's a lot of things that are enjoyable in the game. But it does get repetitive towards the end, and the controls do kind of wreck it for me. It's not a broke game, though. This isn't a game that I would recommend people, stay away from.
No.
I just wouldn't pay full price for
That
it.
that was my question. What would you then call it? Probably a rental or?
Yeah, I would recommend somebody rent it. It is worth playing. It is a decent experience, depending on, like I said, I actually, and I don't like to quit games, but it's several points, many points. I can't even count how many. I just wanted to quit because I was so frustrated with the controls. At the same time, there was something inside of me that said, God, this is still kind of fun a little bit, so I want to keep playing. And the achievement points helped because they came at a regular pace and they came in good chunks. Enjoyed that.
I suppose detrimental to the game to make to prove your point. Like you say, with it being so frustrating, it must have that little bit of something there, like you've just said, because you have gone back and you have finished it, even though it was very frustrating.
Yeah, it's like
so,
I said, it looks amazing. The type of stuff you get to do and everything is kind of fun. It just gets repetitive in the controls, but definitely a game worth playing. I just don't feel it's a game that someone should pay money for.
I must admit, from my personal point of view, as you know, from a friend point of view, this was one of my probably the purchase I was going to have before Christmas. And listening to yourself privately and obviously seeing the stuff on the net, it has actually put me off, which it is a shame, like we say. I don't think we want to sit here and diss the game completely, like we've said. It does look stunning, I think everybody can see that. But I think what we're both agreeing with here, it's worth a look on a rental, probably not full price purchase.
Yeah, definitely. With the number of games out there right now.
Yeah, that's the point, isn't
there's
it?
just so many options people can have. They spend your $60 or whatever it is. There's better options. So it's not a 10 like them.
No, I mean that baffles me. Whoever's given that a 10 out of 10, I don't see how you can give a game 10 out of 10 when it's got complete, blatant flaws and problems that everybody can see. It's not even a contentious issue, is it? They're out there, everybody knows about them. So, I mean,
there's a discussion in the forums right now as far as what people are thinking about it, and there's a couple of people on there that really like it. In fact, one of them, I won't say his name because I don't know if he really wants, but he actually lists the best, most intelligent, most beautiful, most entertaining game ever created. It even surpasses BioShock by miles.
And you would disagree with that, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would disagree 100%. I'm not saying it's broke or that it's a bad game. It's just not. It's not great, and it certainly does not pass BioShock in any stretch of the imagination.
And finally, then, just one question I have then, just before we move on to my first review. Would you say any of the problems could be fixable by a download or not?
No, I think
they're too big.
The controls are set. that's not going to change. The AI in the game maybe could it be improved, but really I didn't have that huge a problem with the AI. They are stupid. There is some stupid parts to it, but I just figured that's part of the game. It's just, I don't know. I look at it and think this is it. This is the way it is. It's not going to get any better.
Yeah, right. I think we'll move on then from there, and like we both agree, it's a game, people, that I think it's worth a rental and nothing else at the minute, which is a shame because it's took so long and everybody's been really waiting for it. But nice review, nice review, Fly. So we'll move on to my first game, and I'm visiting one that's been out quite a few months that I think is going to surprise a few people. My first review is Blue Dragon. I think most of us probably caught the demo that came on Xbox Live a few months back. I surely did, and I praised the demo at first because it was an hour's gameplay, which I thought was fantastic.
For a demo?
Yeah, I mean, it basically was a timed demo. If anybody out there has not tried the demo, and after I've spoke about the game you may want to, with a few pointers I may add, that it's a pure 1 hour countdown timer, which to me, regular listeners to our show will know, to me demos are so important on Xbox. They're trying to sell you a game, they want you to go out and buy that game, so when they give you a demo that is either rubbish or lasts 2 minutes, I just cannot see the point or effort. Why bother? But right. First of all, Blue Dragon demo is an hour long. However, this brings me on to the point of the reason I've reviewed this game. I did play the demo, and I dismissed it within a few attempts. It starts you smacking what I now know, probably a quarter way into the game, with quite a few powers that you're given at the beginning, which I'll explain in a while. Just to show you a few battle systems. Now, the battle system I'll explain again in a little while. If you're chucked straight into that, it's very, very overwhelming, as probably people of the RPG genres know. It's a gradual increase. You learn stuff as you go along, and that's how Final Fantasy's always done it. I mean, we all know if you took a person that's never played an RPG and stuck them in the middle of Final Fantasy and said, there you are, they would be like a fish out of water.
Right.
That's the kind of scenario that you may feel when playing Blue Dragon demo. But, like I say, I've started this a few weeks ago, and I will add, the reason I'm reviewing it now, because the game is on 3 discs. So obviously that is pointing to one hell of a size of a game. But I am going to start by saying the first thing that strikes you when you put this game in is it looks beautiful. It kicks off with a cutscene straight away in a village. You play this little like Japanese anime character called Shu. He's a 16-year-old boy whose parents have died, and he's living with his grandfather in this little village. And it starts off, without spoiling it, where the village is being attacked by this giant underground shark. And there's 3 children. There's Shu, there's a guy called Jiro, he's 17, and the other character, a 16-year-old girl called Klug. They're like 3 friends who have come up with a plan to try and stop this dreaded attack that keeps occurring by this giant underground shark. Well, literally hasten to say, something happens, kicks off, and you're booted to a different part of the world to obviously begin your quest. What I will say, what I like about this straight away, is the battle system. RPGs live and die by the battle system. Turn-based kind of character. It is kind of turn-based, but it's like in real time. You're given each a blue dragon, hence the title Blue Dragon, and it's that does all your battling for you. You go into a battle by walking on the normal field of play, like any RPG. You actually physically see your opponents, which is strange, not like the old Final Fantasy characters where you have no choice in the matter. And this is another great point that I like. You actually see your opponents before you. You have the choice of either walking up to them and attacking them, or it's got an ingenious kind of system where you press the right trigger and it puts out a giant circle. If you encase any enemies in this circle, what happens is you are then given a choice whether you want to fight one of them or all of them, or you can pick exactly who you attack. Now that I like it a lot, because you're not forced into battles that a load of these kind of RPGs do. you are given the choice of, say, picking your battles. Now, obviously, as everybody knows again, you have to do a lot early on in the game because we all know it builds your powers, it builds your skills up. But you're all given a dragon each, and it's them that do the battles for you. The animations are beautiful. I must say the interface is explained really, really well from the beginning. And it just totally took me by surprise. For the sheer fact that, like I say, I dismissed the demo, I was really disappointed. And a lot of people I've spoken to, that when everybody thought Blue Dragon was going to be a real big hit this summer, it turned out to be a bit of a disaster. Well, I can say here and now, if you are an RPG fan of the Final Fantasy ilk or that kind of game, and we all know there's not many out there on the 360, I can tell you now, it's well worth a purchase. I'm guessing now too, with it being out a while, probably in some bargain bins, or you better pick it up second hand. I can safely say I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Really?
I'm 10 hours into the game. I don't think I've scratched the surface yet. The story's moving on brilliantly, and as I say, it looks literally one of the most lovely looking games I've seen on the 360. I mean, bottom line, if you are an RPG fan, this is well worth a look. Well worth a look. It's took me by surprise. It is a game I honestly do believe I will continue to play. Whether I finish it, because I don't know how people feel out there. As we all know, RPGs of this size are a real long, drawn out affair. Now,
even though you could finish it.
Yeah, I mean, I will say one thing. I mean, I'm in the middle of a kind of scenario now where the battles are getting a little bit monotonous. It is the same turn-based scenario. You get a battle, it's your turn, you pick your attack or your spell or heal or what have you. And that is getting a little bit monotonous, why it's trying to take you to progress the story as such. Like, for instance, the last time I played it yesterday, I was to the point where I was getting towards, you can obviously tell, the end of this kind of scenario in the story, and I was just about getting to the point where I was saying to myself, I would like the story to, move on and not just keep constantly battling these pretty weak opponents as it got, because as I say, I've battled quite a lot to build your characters up, as it's always the best thing to do early on, why the opponents are not so strong. It's just, I just like it, and I can't really put my finger on it. It's a very good game, brilliant RPG. I know a lot of people dissed it and put them right off. I mean, is it your cup of tea?
Well, I was going to ask you, because I am not a big RPG fan. I played Oblivion, and I probably put 8 hours into it before I just got bored and quit. I'm not, and this might shock a few people, but I'm not a fan of Final Fantasy.
Oh,
I don't care for it. I just don't like the random battles and the turn-based, combat, stuff like that. So, as far as this game go, would you say, and I say that having Mass Effect in my hand as I speak,
well,
holding it right here, but I'm hoping that a game like Mass Effect is going to be maybe a little more, I don't want to say non-RPG, an RPG for people who aren't necessarily RPG fans.
You're hoping,
Would you say that this game, Blue Dragon, is strictly for RPG fans? It's not something that somebody like me would necessarily like?
With you saying that you're not a Final Fantasy fan, you didn't get on with Oblivion. I too detest Oblivion, which might surprise a few people. I was a massive RPG fan. I am a massive RPG fan and a massive MMOR fan. And I thought Oblivion was being touted by basically everybody you speak to when you're a new 360 owner. Oh, you must get Oblivion. I have got Oblivion. I've had it 4 times. And I just cannot get on with that game. I don't know why, because from an RPG fan's point of view, it's got everything. It's got the quests, it's got the massive world. Coming back to Blue Dragon and comparing it, it's nothing like Oblivion. That's like chalk and cheese. Absolutely nothing like that whatsoever. Wouldn't belong in the same universe, to be quite truthful. Where I would push it towards the Final Fantasy scenario. Now, you're asking me, would it appeal to you? Have you played any Final Fantasy type RPGs before?
Yeah,
So you know that kind of scenario where the turn-based comes up.
Yeah.
Where I think this you could get on with, if you like story-based games like this, which obviously if you're trying RPGs you must do because that's the way them games unfold, story-based, and you're literally engrossed in the story, you want to see it continue. I would actually say to you, Fly, that I think you might get on with this because although it's turn-based, like I just explained, you can pick the battles, and it's like a real-time battle system. I'll try and explain the battle system. You do the circle business to choose whether you want to fight one, fight them all, or you can even, like I say, avoid them altogether quite easily. Then the battle starts. It's the old scenario of an RPG like that. You're facing at the back, they're in front of you, and what you've got at the top of the screen, you have got a real-time running order of whose turn it is next. So say it's got a picture of your first person in your party that's going to go first, then it's got the monster, then it's got your second party, then it's got the third monster, and so forth, and that keeps on as it's going along. Now what makes that really, really good is that when you use a spell, one of the big spells in the game, you choose your spell, it comes up, a window comes up, and you're given like, the best way I can describe it is like a 3-click system bar on golf, on Tiger Woods Golf. And what that does, it shows you the bar on the screen where you've got to press and hold the button to let the bar go across the screen. But what I like about it, it's got little arrows telling you whereabouts the next person is going to have their turn. So if you keep the button pressed long enough, you will bypass everybody's turn, meaning that go you are about to have, that spell, will be last in line. However, if you see that a monster's going to attack, and you want to attack before it's its turn, you decide to let go of the A button before it's their turn. I know that might sound a little bit complicated, but it really is an ingenious little thing that I did like. You basically, when your spell's up, you can see whose turn it's going to be exactly in the time frame, and you can either choose to have your spell before it or after it. And my answer to you is, if you do like story-based RPGs, and you're not so keen on Final Fantasy's randomality battles, which I must say, you've got to be a real die-hard fan, because I have only ever finished one Final Fantasy, probably the same as everybody else, Final Fantasy VII, and even that got to the point where the random battles just got so infuriating to the point where when it used to pop up a battle, you literally didn't want to do it. And that, like I say, is what I like about this. You can get to choose where you battle and how many you battle against. There are items, I tell you what, one thing I forgot to mention that I really do like. Pretty early on in the piece, when you've gone to one of the main scenarios, one of the characters points to a machine and calls it a warp gate. And when you've beat him in a battle that was a bit of a decent battle, to be truthful, he apologises and then hands you 23 warp keys. And as you find out later, there are 23 warp gates in the entire game. And what them warp gates do, which is really, really good, you obviously can tell that once you've battled this opponent, he is right before the big story moves on. Either you're going to fight a big boss battle or whatever. But what these warp gates have done, they let you warp back to the town where you started your quest on. So you can top up from the stores, you can top up spells, you can top up potions, which I did like. It was really, really good that you could warp from town to town, saves a lot of walking, and the warp system was really, really good. That was another nice thing I liked. I mean, to finish with, a lot of people dissed this pretty early on in the piece, and I think the demo really, really, really saw to that. It was a poor demo to release. I mean, in that demo, they do actually try and explain to you how the battle system works, but they do it in really long text. They're like 5, 6, 7 pages of text.
Yeah, I was going to ask about
yeah,
that too.
it just the pages of text in the demo is to try and literally tell you what the game properly has took, say, an hour to 2 hours to explain gradually. As we all know, when it starts from the beginning and you get introduced, like you said about Assassin's Creed, you slowly get to learn the controls. Well, it's exactly the same with this. From the beginning of the game, you slowly learn how to use spells, you know how to use potions and what for, you know. But the demo's such a shame that it literally chucks you straight into a ship with a lot of battles, albeit an hour's long, which is really, really cool. I would, if you want to just see what the game's like, try the demo. I feel you would be put off by it because, like I say, it's real difficulty of being chucked into the fire as such. But I can't recommend it enough. It certainly changed my mind from the start. I turned this game down in the summer. It was going to be one of my big purchases, but I'm really, really glad I've got it now. And as I say, I will put a lot of time in it. And like I say, it's bound to be cheap, so well worth picking up, guys, if you're struggling for something to play. I mean,
I was just going to ask you, going back to the 3 discs, those are 3 actual game discs, so at some point you have to switch. It's that big that...
Yeah, there are 3 actual discs in the pack, which took me by amazement because, like I say, I think I'm 9.5 hours into the game now, and in serious terms, thinking about the game's unfolding, I would actually say I'm not a tenth into it. If there are 3 discs, and they are 3 gaming discs, yeah. I mean, I will take a look this very minute. I've got it in front of me, and it just says disc 1, disc 2, and disc 3. There are no bonus features or anything. There are pure 3 gaming discs. So it certainly is a big, big game. And as I say, to all us listeners, if you are looking for an RPG out there, I think it's worth a try. Don't believe all the bad hype that's been picked up with this game. It certainly surprised me, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. The only thing you may get, a slight thing with, is the monotony of the battles. But I mean, if we're all being honest here, anybody tell me an RPG anywhere that doesn't at some stage have the monotony of very similar battles?
Right.
I mean, have you got anything else to say, Fly? If you have,
no, I. Just thinking about it, that doesn't sound like something that I would personally like.
It is
not being an RPG fan.
Yeah, it is. I would say you would have to be an RPG fan. If there's anybody out there that is one who has been put off with previous reviews or what you've read on the net, I would just say, purely because simply, as we know, there aren't many RPGs on the 360 at the minute. Right. There's Blue Dragon Eternal Sonata, which has got a nice demo on Xbox Live. I would give it a go. I don't think you'll be disappointed. In fact, I'll be very, very surprised if you're disappointed. The artwork, the look of the game is sheer beautiful. Even if you just want to take a look at it, it's great. It kicks off from the beginning. It gets you into it, and to be honest, great game. And I would actually say, guys, pick it up. You won't be disappointed. Yeah, it is. It's surprised me, changed my mind, which it takes a lot to change my mind when I've made my mind up. But
it's interesting, like you said, about the demo, as far as I'm sure they wanted to put you far enough in that you would get to do a lot of stuff, but at the same time, like you said, in the actual game, it eases you in a little more, so it doesn't seem quite as hard.
It is. I mean, I really commend them highly for what they did. I mean, an hour's demo is truly fantastic.
Yeah.
Pure game time. There's a clock in the window. It ticks down. 1 hour ticking down. It's brilliant.
So you get to do whatever you want during that.
You do. I mean, you start off. It puts you in 2. It actually gives you 2 places when you start the game. It gives you 2 scenarios. You can either go on a ship and do that scenario, or you can actually go outdoors and do that scenario. But very early on in the demo, you are given a lot of NPCs to talk to that then just basically tell you in text how things work. And like I say, it's a shame because you do need to be told that gradually. It does a good way of telling you in the full game. It really eases you in, and that is always my big worry with RPGs. Like Oblivion went over my head. 95% of all the stuff that they was telling me at the beginning of that game went sailing over my head. I had no clue where I was going, what I was doing, what I had to do with my items. As where this, I have yet to really sit there and puzzle, think to myself, what have I got to do, or As I say, 9 hours in, and I have not got a problem with the game yet regarding what I'm doing, where I'm going, or how the interface works. It's really good. I've had one boss battle, and I've got to say, it's just stunning looking. A big dragon. It was a big four-legged giant dragon, and it was absolutely awesome battle. I say, guy, I mean, I can't stress enough. It's worth a try. Definitely with it being in the bargain bins by now, I should think. So, yeah, we best move on because I think time is moving on pretty quick. This looks like it's going to be a long show again.
Yeah.
So, but I think you guys are happy with the show as it is. So, Fly, I think we'll move on to your last game you're going to review.
Yeah, I got one more, and this is kind of a quick one anyway. But I did pick up Seen It for the 360. Which is just like the board game. If anybody's ever played the board game, the DVD board game, it's basically a quiz, a movie trivia game. You can play up to 4 people. It shows you like movie clips or different props or animation, and you answer questions about it. The thing I liked about it is right now, when people come to my house to visit or family comes over, or even my wife to some extent, who's not a big gamer, although she's become an expert rock band drummer somehow, it doesn't care for most of the games I have. She doesn't want to play football. Madden's just way too complicated to figure out. She could do golf because there's not much to that. But outside of that, there's nobody wants to play the Xbox when they come over. It's just too hard. It's too complicated. The controller's big. It's got a bunch of buttons. Nobody knows what's going on. So when that happens, we end up playing the Wii, and we play Wii Sports, and then, for people who haven't played the Wii or haven't played Wii Sports, that's great. They love it. It's a good time. For me, I like bowling to an extent, but I don't want to bowl every time somebody comes over.
Yeah, I must admit, this scene, it's took my eye. For one reason, price. The price is brilliant over here compared to full price games, and you get the buzzers, don't you? Is that right?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Ours is the same cost as any new release, $60.
Oh,
but
right.
For that $60, you get the game, and you get 4. They have a stupid name for it. It's like Big Button Pad, I believe is what they're calling it.
Yeah.
Which, if you've seen the PS2 one, is real similar to the Buzz game on PS2. Yeah. But it's a big pad. It's got one big colored button. It's got the 4 various, X, Y, A buttons colored. And basically use the big button to ring in, you use the other 4 buttons to answer the question, and you're done. It's not intimidating. It's really easy to use. Anybody who comes over is going to be able to pick this up and play it.
I've got one question about this game, and this stems from the demo.
The demo. I knew you were going to bring this up.
Because I wouldn't have brought it up until I read the package on the front, and I think everybody's seen it, and it really goes to town, and it says the following, and I will quote: "A superb artificial intelligence. We will not ask you the same questions more than once. It keeps track of questions asked to you yourself." So I thought that was, wow, that's a brilliant thing. I cracked the demo up and I played it, and I must admit, I liked it. Even though I was playing on my own, I loved it. It showed a movie of King Kong. It asks questions. It was multiple choice. Even though I didn't have the buzzers, which I will add as well, a lovely little touch. You don't have to have the buzzers.
Yeah, you can use your regular controller.
Yeah. So that I was great. I was all rolling away, and away we went on the demo. And the demo, I think, was about, if I remember off the top of my head, about 12, 15 questions long, ranging from...
Very long.
No, multiple choice. It showed a clip of King Kong, very nice clip, very nicely presented. The game's nicely presented. And I thought, wow, I really enjoyed that. It was over, and I thought, I will have another go. I want to see this question scenario. So I pops it in again, cracks it up, away we go. And can I just say, I was asked the identical set of 15 questions, so much so I got everyone right within seconds of answering and got a massive score. So my question to you, Fly, is simply, I'm hoping to God the original does actually stick to the AI it says.
It does, and after you told me about that, I thought about it a little bit, and it almost makes sense for the demo, that they would just have one set of questions, because otherwise what would stop you from just continuously playing the demo over and over? You wouldn't really have to buy the game.
I think it would have been an idea to actually put a disclaimer on the demo to say such a thing.
Could have explained it, or even just have more questions, because going back to what you said about Blue Dragon having an hour demo, the Seen It demo is extremely short, in my opinion.
And this is what I've always said: demos, you are trying to make us buy your product. You know, it does not make sense.
It does give you an idea. The demo gives you a solid idea of exactly what the game's going to be like.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be longer to explain more of what the game is or what to expect, but it would have been nice to play just a little bit more than what they had on there.
Yeah.
But the full game so far, and I've played, I'm going to guess maybe 5 hours or so.
Yeah.
I have not seen the same question twice.
Oh, that is really good then.
You can see it comes up on the screen when it saves, and it does say it's saving questions that you've been asked. And it goes by your gamer tag, so they're all associated with your gamer tag. So
does it give you does it actually tell you what kind of game length you are likely to get before you would be asked questions again? I know it's probably difficult to answer, but it's a big point, because obviously these type of games, as soon as you start getting repeated questions, the game's finished. There's no skill.
Right. Honestly, I have no idea. I know the box says it ships with 1,800 questions.
Wow.
How long it was going to take you to cycle through them, I'm not sure. I'm curious as far as, because it's not all movie clips. There's some different sections, and there's even more sections than what they show in the demo. Right. For example, one of them is props, where they show you, it's basically a screenshot of a prop. Or some part of a movie, and then you guess what movie it's from, something like that.
Say Indiana Jones's whip or something like that.
Right, stuff like that. So there's a lot of different sections, a lot of different areas. Some of them are movie clips, which we had a discussion on the AJ forums about this. And they aren't high def. I was under the impression that they were going to be high def. The box said that it supported up to 1080p.
Right.
Thinking back on it now, I believe what they're saying is the graphics for the game themselves are high def, but the actual movie clips are not. But they do look nice.
I was going to say, that doesn't detract from the
I don't
how
think
the game
it takes
plays
anything away. And you're looking at a clip, maybe it lasts 2 minutes, something like that. I have a 50-inch high def TV. It looked great. And then you answered some questions about it. So it doesn't take away from it, but people might be expecting it to be a high def video clip.
I suppose a good question you may or may not know, but even if you don't, it's going to be answered, I suppose. Downloadable content, this is absolutely crying out for it, isn't it?
I think so, and this was part of the discussion I had on AJ, is I thought this is such a simple thing for them to just pop out a pack of new question or something. Somebody else mentioned that they thought it was not going to have downloadable content. I did find on the developer website, or maybe it was Xbox.com, where they said that it's possible to have downloadable content. I personally haven't heard of any coming, but this is the type of game that not necessarily like say Halo or Call of Duty, where people are immediately hoping for new maps. No. This is more of a game which maybe a year from now you'll see a pack come out and say, hey, look, here's another 2,000 questions.
The only downside to that, and I think you might have just hit the nail on the head, as we all know, the Seen It franchise board game, they've got so many different scenarios. They're probably thinking, well, let's bring a new game out every year to go with the buzzers. That could be the way they're thinking.
It could be true, and personally, I would be fine with that. If I played this for a year, and then next year they come out with a game, and seeing as how this was $60 for us with the controllers, maybe next year it's a $30 disc, or a half-price disc, and you just get new questions, or you get the Disney edition, or you get the all the various stuff they got.
I think that's the way it's heading. It's definitely going to be, because it's going to be more for it, whether it be in a new game form or downloadable content. It's just so easy, like you say.
It is.
All in all, then. All in all, I really do like the looks of this, and I did actually come very close to buying this for Christmas, because like you say, it's a family game, and I think Xbox are really trying to go down that route, aren't they? But
I don't know. I don't know how young kids would be able to play, because some of the questions are a little harder.
Yeah.
You know, they want to know who the director of the movie was,
Is there
who the lead actress was, and maybe
is there
little
no
kids might not know that.
is there no form of age on it, or is there no
To select a difficulty?
yeah,
or something?
like a difficulty
No,
level?
nothing that I saw. It's just pick up and play.
All right, but
They still probably, little kids, they don't care. You push buttons.
yeah, they'll love it. That big
They
big
can
red
lose,
button.
but,
Yeah, it's
One thing I did want to say about the big button pads
Yep.
or controllers, whatever you want to call it, they're not like your standard controller. They don't sync to the Xbox. Instead, it's an RF adapter, a USB adapter that plugs into your 360. And you have to point this pad at that.
I can remember.
At the TV.
I think
it's not like ultra sensitive or anything, but it is possible to be pointing the controller the wrong way and not have your answer register.
It's basically, I think I read it was infrared, just like a TV remote. They said, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's got pluses and minuses too, because the nice thing is you can only have 4 things synced to the Xbox at one time: 4 controllers, 4 pads, 4 guitars, whatever. This doesn't take the place of one of your controllers, which is
that's
nice.
good.
You still use the
Can
controller.
you? I want to say, can you use a mixture of both? Then can you have an 8-player game?
Yeah, no, it's for 4 people only.
But you could actually just have 2 buzzers and 2 controllers if you wanted.
Yeah, you can mix and match controllers and buzzers, anything you want, because the controller you just use a D-pad to ring in, and then the 4 colored buttons.
All right.
And you can also use the pad. I've heard people say the pad works for other games. I personally haven't tried it out, but I'm hoping maybe they make some use of that, and you can use the pad for different stuff.
Different quiz kind of games then. But yeah. All in all, then I must admit, like you, Fly, I think this is a good game. It's well worth picking up, especially around Christmas.
It's a great game, like you said, family game for people come over. It's probably one of the few things I have now on the Xbox that people would want to play and can play when they come over. My only disappointment with it is there is no online or live support.
All right, right.
Which I would have thought would have been nice. You could play against your buddy in a little trivia, but apparently
not even leaderboards or anything like that.
Not that I've seen anyway.
Oh, right. It's a shame, but like I say, it's a good game. You'll probably be getting it out at Thanksgiving tomorrow, then I think.
Yeah, we'll definitely be playing it this week, and Christmas time it'll be a good game.
Right, so I think we'll start wrapping up then, guys. I think we've stretched to an hour, maybe a bit longer this time. So just a few things to clear up before we do go. Obviously, come and visit us at the website www.crankygamersuk.com. Just have a small announcement to make about the competition that we've been running in conjunction with the main show and the review show. What we've got to say is this. As the listeners will know, we said the competition was if you can put a review on iTunes for the shows that we do. Any review, we don't want a nice favourable review, we want honest reviews, basically, if you like the show or whatever. But the competition is running. We was going to offer Microsoft points to the winners. Now, there are a couple of points we just need to clear up here that some people have brought to us attention. We have since found out that there is obviously a UK section for the podcast on iTunes, and there is a US section for podcast on iTunes, and there are totally separate scenarios. Yes, we've seen that there are reviews on UK, and we've seen there are reviews on the US. Thank you, first of all, for you listeners out there that are starting to do the reviews. The competition is going to keep running for a few more weeks, and yes, it's open to both sides still. What we're going to do, however, we may have to change the UK side of the prize. The reason for this is, guys, we found out this week that the points that we've got are US points, and I'm afraid they're not multi-region. It's a US points card, which means we're going to have to give that prize to the US section, which will be picked randomly. We may still get a points card for the UK. We're just slightly undecided. Apologies for that. There will be a prize, so keep giving reviews up for the UK side. We will sort one out for definite. Don't worry about that. We just wanted to clear up that we're now going to offer a prize for the US listeners out there. Put the reviews on there, and the UK listeners, stick some reviews on there. We'll pick it at random when we get there. And as we say, it's a points card, Microsoft points card for US listeners. And as I say, we're just going to slightly change it. We're unsure yet. It may even be points still. But yeah, guys.
We'll come up with something, but there'll be a prize for each side.
We will get one. So just as I say, we'll keep the competition running for a few weeks. Just go and get a review on iTunes. One final thing we need to add to that, because some of you guys may have different tags, names as regards iTunes and stuff, we have made a post on our forums available through the website I've given you. If you do make a review, just go and put a post in there to tell us you have made a review and put the name up that you've put it under. It's just so we know that the person who has done the review is the right person for the prize. So yeah, I mean
the credit card issue as well. For whatever reason, iTunes forces you to have a credit card on file to leave a review, which is completely ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
In those cases, people can just post in the forums. We're not going to.
I think we was going to decide that, weren't we? If you are one of the people that cannot post because of credit cards, I must admit I haven't got an iTunes account myself. I've never done it. But yeah, if you can't post on there because of credit card reasons, by all means, go to the thread on the forum. And I think, like Fly's just said, we'll take some of the reviews off there, write a little review for us, and we'll use that. What I will say, we will also have more competitions anyway that won't revolve around the iTunes. We may even have one. We may even have one more competition before Christmas coming up. I might have some games that might be coming up. So if you can't do the iTunes review, don't worry. Either just go and stick one on there, or like I say, there will be other competitions. And I think we'll best wrap up, because as I say, we're running on. Just a few shout outs from me first before we close it. Again, Kid Dogg looks like he'll be returning this Saturday for our main show, so it will be the Gruesome Twosome returning, I think. I think Fly might be joining us. He's still undecided yet. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, just a shout out for Kid Dogg. Nice to see him coming back. And have you got any shout outs, Fly, to finish up with?
No, just the same. Welcome back to Kid. It's good to have him back now.
Yeah,
that's about it. Next week, you want to say what to talk about next week?
Yep, I was just about to finish with that, as we usually do. Next week, I think we're gonna my review for next week. I think we're toying with the idea of, as Fly has very nicely, luckily, jammily got Rock Band, and I have seen him laid up on his couch, looking pretty cool with the drums. But yeah, I think next week, guys, I think we're planning out with Fly to do Rock Band, whole show on Rock Band review, and we may, as I'm about to get the European release of Guitar Hero 3, I think we may stick that in as a nice comparison. But I think that's what we're doing, isn't it, Fly?
Yeah, sounds good to me. Rock Band, good times. And I took some pictures, some unboxing pictures we'll put up on the site.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
So next week then, guys, keep an eye out for that one. Next week's show is probably going to be a Rock Band main review with a bit of Guitar Hero 3 chucked in. So thank you guys for listening. As I say, go and pop some reviews up for us, and hope you enjoy the show. So it's goodbye from me this week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.